Step back in time and witness the faces of iconic revolutionary figures brought to life through AI colorization. From the American Revolution to the French, Haitian, and Russian uprisings, rediscover the stories of those who shaped history. This is George Washington, the first president of the United States and a central figure in the American Revolution. The colorized portrait reveals a man whose eyes reflect not just the weight of leading a new nation, but the burden of his decision to fight for freedom against the British Empire. Washington was a man who never sought power for its own sake but was thrust into leadership by the call for independence. His legacy is woven into the fabric of a nation born from revolution, and his face symbolizes the struggle for democracy and liberty. This is Émilie du Châtelet, a French mathematician and physicist who defied the gender norms of her time to contribute significantly to the understanding of science. Her colorized portrait shows a woman of great intelligence and beauty, a revolutionary in her own right for her work translating Newton's Principia Mathematica into French. She was not just a thinker but a woman who embodied the revolutionary spirit of intellectual freedom. Her contributions to science are now timeless, and her face, once forgotten, is now remembered for the brilliance it carried. This is Jean-Paul Marat, one of the most radical leaders during the French Revolution. His fiery speeches and relentless pursuit of revolutionary ideals made him both a hero to the people and a target for his enemies. In his colorized portrait, Marat's intense expression reflects the fire that drove him to call for the blood of counter-revolutionaries. His murder by Charlotte Corday made him a martyr to the revolutionary cause. Marat's face symbolizes the fervor and complexity of revolution, where passion often crosses into violence. This is Che Guevara, an Argentine revolutionary who became a symbol of resistance, armed struggle, and the fight against imperialism. His portrait is one of the most iconic images of revolution, capturing the fierce determination and commitment to social justice that he embodied. In the colorized portrait, Che's face speaks of his life as a doctor, soldier, and writer who believed in the power of the people to overthrow tyranny. He is remembered as a martyr for his cause, though his legacy is as controversial as it is revered. This is Catherine the Great, a woman who rose from humble beginnings to become the Empress of Russia and one of the most powerful women in history. Her portrait, colorized and restored, reveals the regal yet determined woman who expanded the Russian Empire, reformed its administration, and embraced Enlightenment ideals. But her revolution was not in the streets. Catherine's revolution was in the halls of power, where she shaped Russia's future with her intelligence, ambition, and political savvy. Her face shows the strength and wisdom of a woman who defied the expectations of her time. This is Simón Bolívar, the liberator of much of South America from Spanish rule. His portrait, restored and colorized, reveals the strength and determination that drove him to lead an entire continent to independence. Bolívar's vision for a united South America was grand, but his face also shows the weariness of a man who fought for freedom at great personal cost. In his final years, disillusioned by the divisions that followed independence, Bolívar's dream began to fracture, but his name remains synonymous with revolution. This is Ludwig van Beethoven, the revolutionary composer whose music redefined the symphonic world. Known for his defiance against the norms of classical music, Beethoven's portrait, restored and colorized, captures a man whose genius transcended personal struggle. Deaf by his later years, he composed some of the most powerful pieces in music history, including his famous Ninth Symphony. His face reflects the intensity of a man who refused to be silenced by his circumstances, a true revolutionary in the world of music. This is Mary Wollstonecraft, a revolutionary thinker and writer whose work on women's rights laid the foundation for modern feminism. Known for her book A Vindication of the Rights of Woman, Mary's portrait, brought back to life through colorization, shows a woman whose mind was as radical as the ideals she championed. Behind her delicate features lies a deep well of intellect, a fierce advocate for equality in a time when women's voices were often silenced. Mary's ideas would spark revolutions in thought, even if her own life was tragically cut short. This is Maximilien Robespierre, a man whose ideals for a democratic France led to the rise of the Reign of Terror during the French Revolution. In his colorized portrait, Robespierre's sharp features and intense gaze reveal the passion he held for equality and justice. He believed in the revolution's cause so deeply that he would stop at nothing to protect it, leading to the execution of thousands. His face represents the complex, often tragic, nature of revolution, a man who sought to destroy tyranny but became a tyrant himself. This is Emmeline Pankhurst, the fierce leader of the British suffragette movement who fought relentlessly for women's right to vote. Her colorized portrait captures the strength and determination in her eyes, a woman who knew that revolution could start with a single voice but would take the collective will of many to be heard. Emmeline's tireless campaigning, protests, and even hunger strikes brought the issue of women's rights to the forefront of British society. Her face represents the struggles of countless women who fought for a voice in the world. This is Sophie Scholl, a German student and anti-Nazi political activist who was executed for her role in the White Rose movement. Her face, restored through AI, reflects the courage and defiance of a young woman who stood against the tyranny of the Nazi regime. Sophie's writings and actions were a quiet form of revolution, calling for moral resistance in a time of unimaginable horror. Her bravery, standing firm for what was right, has made her a symbol of conscience and resistance in the face of oppression. This is Vladimir Lenin, the leader of the Russian Revolution who overthrew the Tsarist autocracy and helped establish the Soviet Union. His colorized portrait reveals the somber yet determined expression of a man whose ideals transformed an entire nation. Lenin's revolutionary zeal was matched only by his willingness to sacrifice everything for his vision of a communist state. His face symbolizes the triumphs and tragedies of the revolution, as Lenin's vision was realized through both idealism and violence. His legacy remains deeply divisive, embodying the power of revolution to both liberate and control. This is Dolores Ibárruri, also known as La Pasionaria, a Spanish revolutionary and a prominent figure during the Spanish Civil War. Her iconic words, "No pasaran, they shall not pass," rallied countless defenders of the Spanish Republic. In this colorized portrait, Dolores's fierce determination is clear. She wasn't just a political figure, she was the voice of resistance, the embodiment of the fight against fascism. Her face represents the strength and perseverance of the Spanish people who stood against overwhelming odds in defense of their country and their ideals. This is Toussaint Louverture, the leader of the Haitian Revolution, a former slave who became the revolutionary general of the first independent Black Republic. His face, restored and brought back to life, is the face of resilience, wisdom, and an unyielding fight for freedom. In the colorized portrait, Toussaint's piercing gaze reflects a mind that understood the value of liberty and justice. He led his people to victory, only to be betrayed and imprisoned by Napoleon, dying far from his homeland. Yet his legacy lives on, a symbol of strength against oppression. This is Thomas Paine, a pamphleteer, philosopher, and revolutionary whose writings inspired revolutions across the Atlantic. Best known for his work Common Sense, which pushed the American colonies toward independence, Paine's colorized portrait reveals the sharp intellect of a man whose words helped shape a nation. Paine's call for liberty, equality, and fraternity resonated not just in America, but in France and beyond. His face, now brought back to life, is a symbol of the power of ideas to ignite the fires of revolution.